Hello my friends. Today in the Metal Shop Garage we're still attacking this YJ intake manifold. I kind of went over how I was going to gasket match it, and I put the really nice crushable gasket on there, and I went around this with a scribe, scratching the soft aluminum, and I've gone over this with a Sharpie just to, as a reference. You can't really see that scribed scratch mark. So these ports, they're not done, but I've removed the bulk of the material with the Dremel. And I picked up this set of carbide burrs from Amazon, 15 bucks. They got a bunch of different brands, but they all pretty much look the same. Made in China, but they are carbide, and so far so good. They've worked really well. The tool hasn't, they haven't clogged up. Now I went with this one here, kind of a square profile here, but rounded at the end, because you don't want, when you're in here, if you had the squared off end, you'd leave, furrows. So the trick to this is you want a steady hand. I found that, 2000 RPM, 1800, 2000 RPM seem to work the best. You want to go with a steady hand, and you need to be careful. You kind of want to sneak up to the line so that you don't skid out. If you're within, an eighth of an inch or so from the edge, you should be all set with your gasket sealing. But if you skid all the way out and put a deep furrow in it, you're pretty much screwed. You might have a leak, so on and so forth. So really what you're just doing, you're sneaking up to the line, you're moving material. It's at an angle. You're just trying to make a smooth transition. Now, if you could imagine this old transmission mount is like your gasket, what you don't want is, because this is what your gasket would essentially be doing here, let's do it on one of these, is it's creating an edge, a bad edge. Your gasket's sticking out into the intake tract, and that's not what you want. You want a nice smooth transition for your air to get down in there. So again, I've gone after it with the Dremel. You want to keep it moving. Anyway, so keep it moving. Otherwise, it actually removes a lot of material very quickly. So you want to keep it moving, and that way you don't get, you don't get ridges. And I am going to go after it. I showed you guys this last time with these sanding rolls. This cartridge pack I bought from Summit Racing. These are nice. I mean, it's like a pretty gritty. This is like an 80 grit or something like that. And I'm just going to go through and smooth that out after. I am going to get after the throttle body too. Now, I'm not going to attack that with a carbide burr. That would be much too much. That's just going to be sanding, and I'm really just going to ease the edge, and I'm going to measure it and make sure that it's, I can't remember, I believe it's like 63 millimeters is what I need to open that up to. So I'm going to do that as well. And then this thing is going off to powder coating. Like I said, again, we're just easing that edge. This is the porting part. This is the polishing. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about porting and polishing. I've even seen guys with an intake like this, so you get down inside the runners. Believe it or not, they'll cut this in half so they can really port and polish the whole thing. Not with an intake like this, obviously with a much better flowing performance intake, and then they'll weld it back together. We're not going to go that in depth. We're gonna, am I going to see a realization in big horsepower on this? Probably not. But if you're talking about adding 3, 4, 5 horsepower and better flow, which will be throughout the RPM range, probably worth it. All right, cool. All right, so I have the porting and polishing largely done. I would say we're 95% done. These are the implements of destruction I used. I used the Dremel with a carbide burr. That's the one I used with the rounded tip on it right there for pretty much everything. I mean, I showed you guys this. I have all these other tips. None of them really, maybe this one here might have been okay. I used a sanding drum with very, probably like a 80 grit or 100 grit for the Dremel. I used the cartridge rolls here on a drill, which was a pain, but the kind of the screw-in post there for the cartridge rolls, it won't fit in the Dremel. It's like a 1/4 of an inch. So I kind of had to make do with that. Oh, and some calipers for the throttle body opening. So what you can't really see is, I mean, it feels fantastic. I mean, so nice and smooth. The transition is so nice from where it was. And this matches the gasket. Oh, I also did use a piece of 3M Scotch-Brite, red Scotch-Brite, just to finish the top edge here. But so smooth. The edge is so nice. And I went as deeply as I could in there to make the transition, you know, really nice. This isn't rocket science, you know, I'm sure, you know, I'm far from a professional. This is only the second intake manifold that I have ported and polished myself. I did a Ford 351 intake manifold to match up to the Celine Vortec intake that I'm also working on. So just, like I said, I gave you some tips and tricks last time for the intake runners here. Keep the burr moving, that's important. So for this, what I did was I tried to just attack it with the cartridge roll and the sanding drum here, and without stopping, just keep moving, keep going, circular, circular, circular. I found that I wanted to take off approximately 1 millimeter all the way around, and I could not get it. It was just taking far too long with the sanding, so I did use this burr here. And again, the same thing. I'm not going to do it because I have this, you know, nice and sanded and polished out. But I just took that burr and just kept going and kept going, kept going. And I kept checking with my calipers as I went, taking, you know, 3 measurements, you know, here, you know, I'd go here, and then the opposite way. I wanted to get to 63 millimeters to match the opening in the throttle body. And again, this edge is nice and smooth, and I rounded it over on the bottom, made it nice and smooth. So will we realize any gains from this? I'm not sure if you'll feel it in the old seat of the pants meter, but this thing came out really well. And now that it's done, now it's really off to powder coating, and I'll catch up with you once we get that done. Cool. All right, so we're at the secret undisclosed location, just back from the powder coaters, where I got the Jeep YJ intake manifold powder coated this beautiful bronze color. Came out great. I did take the opportunity to smooth out a bunch of the casting flash lines while I was whittling away at it, porting and polishing this, but came out great. What a pain in the butt this must have been. Every single threaded hole and bung needed to be taped off in this. You know, they had to tape off this, and then, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. At least those 18 holes, no, 19, 20. I thought I counted 23, but I could be wrong. Again, this, I'm so happy. This just came out great. You know, look, they got powder coating over there and over there. This is going to look so much nicer than that, you know, 5th grader's art school project that was in there. And the porting and the polishing, I mean, I'm not that skilled at it. I've done it a couple of times before, 2 times before. But the guys at the performance shop that powder coated this checked this out, and they said that it looked really good. I just took my time, you know, whittling away at it with the Dremel and then the sanding drum, and it came out really good. So that will close out the ported and polished YJ intake manifold until it becomes time to do the assembly. And I'm going to have this done at the same time that they do the Borla stainless steel header and a full exhaust that I have for my Jeep YJ. So anyway, as always, my friends, I thank you for watching. If you're new, please consider subscribing to my channel. Lots of good videos here. I try to make at least one a week. I've been a little bit lax lately, but just been super busy. Please give me a like, give me a share. Again, smash that subscribe button and get notifications. And give me that old thumbs up. I really do appreciate your support. All right, my friends, take care. Bye-bye.